When it comes to the graveyard shift, almost every employee tries to avoid it. But on the other hand, the night shift pays more than the day shift. When I joined the local coffee shop as a barista, I expected a lot of creepy strangers my way. Drunk dudes who try to hit on you, and crazy old ladies that scream at you for no reason soon became a daily dose of my entertainment. The coffee shop is generally operated by a drive-thru during the day. Apart from me, there worked another girl named Susie. Susie and I became good friends in very little time. She was always jolly and went the extra mile to serve the customers. I admired her level of patience in handling rude and creepy customers. But this one night, when Susie was stuck at home with the fever, I was assigned to pull the all-nighter. The owner offered me double pay, hence I couldn't resist. After quite a rush until midnight, the arrival of customers started to loosen up, having a little break. I went to the back of the shop to smoke in peace. When I returned, I saw this car waiting near the drive-thru window. A tall man was lunging from the passenger seat window and peeking inside the drive-thru. I quickly got in, apologizing in a polite tone.
Welcome to Super Coffee, sir. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Once he saw me, he went back to his seat. I stood near the window and asked,
What would you like to order, sir?
Where were you?
I went to take the trash out.
Huh.
Suddenly, he came real close to my face and started smelling in a very creepy way. He sniffed me like a dog and then let out a huge grin.
Why do you smell like cigarettes then?
By this point, I was going through so many emotions. His face His face was probably inches away from mine.
I'm sorry, sir. I just went to take a break.
That he could report me for smoking on duty and keeping him waiting seemed more important than his cringy behavior. I just stood silently with a sad face.
Don't worry, I won't report you.
He slowly went back into his car and gave his order. I smiled awkwardly but felt a little relieved that he at least understood my situation. While the coffee was getting done, the man continued chatting with me, and this is where things started to take a dark turn. He took out a small fishing hook from his pocket and began picking his teeth with it. As disgusting as the sight was, I tried to look away.
So what time do you get off, Angela?
He read my name tag tucked in my uniform with too much attention.
Late in the morning, sir.
Stop calling me sir. Do I look that old?
Honestly, he did. But I continued his rant to be safe and not push him to report me.
I didn't mean that, sir.
So what do you do after you go home? Do you shower?
Excuse me, what?
Come on, no need to be mad. It's just a basic question.
I don't think I need to answer that.
I poured his coffee and placed it right in the window.
Here's your coffee. That'll be $2.70.
Don't you think you should hand me that coffee yourself?
There, his voice changed. I got goosebumps. With shaking hands, I grabbed the cup and raised it toward him. He suddenly grabbed my hand and smashed the coffee cup. Hot boiling coffee splashed on my skin, and his too.
Ah! What are you doing?
Our hands were burning, but surprisingly, there weren't any signs of pain in his face. He stared through his cold, dead eyes and let the coffee burn our skin.
Leave me, you freak! Let me go!
He pulled me closer to him and said in a low but scary voice,
I don't like girls who think they're better than me.
That was the end of my tolerance level. I slapped him and kept punching him to let go of me. But slowly, he pulled me into his car right from the drive-thru window. I heard a car horn when my body was halfway out the window, and the man immediately left my hand. Without waiting for a second more, the man started the car engine and fled the scene. I broke down crying, holding my burnt hand. The next day, I returned to the drive-thru and reported it to the owner. I asked him to see the security footage when he said the CCTV camera needed fixing.
So that means there's no evidence of what he did to me?
I was mad and hurt, but the owner, instead of helping me, blamed me for leaving the shop to go for a smoke. He didn't care about the safety of his employee. I was so furious that I quit the job right away. Susie was standing there when I was leaving. She consoled me for what happened and told me to take care. I hugged her one last time and said to be careful while working the graveyard shift here. I kept in touch with her after that. She told me the owner had fixed the security camera 2 days after I left. I warned Susie about this man but never thought he would have the guts to return. 1 week after this incident, I got a call from Susie's boyfriend. He said Susie hadn't come home since last night. She was doing her night shift at the coffee shop and was supposed to return home after work, but never showed up. That's when an awful feeling hit me. Did something happen to her? Then one day, I saw it on the news. Susie's dead body had been found, and her killer was none other than the same man from that night. He kidnapped her and killed her in the garage of his home. The most horrifying thing was the ransom picture he sent to Susie's parents. He staged her body like a living person. What kind of sick psycho does that? The story you just saw is loosely based on the bone-chilling murder story of 18-year-old Samantha Koenig. She was working her night shift at the Common Grounds coffee stand in downtown Anchorage. As she was finishing her shift, the young barista was approached by a man later identified as a serial killer named Israel Keys. Keys hid his face under a ski mask. He threatened Samantha with a gun and took her to his property. He then tied her in a shed and used a radio to cover up her screams for help. Keys poured a glass of wine, drank it in front of Samantha, and then strangled her with a rope, leaving her body in the shed. Keys flew to New Orleans for a 2-week vacation with his family. After returning from his vacation, Keys decided to take Samantha's ransom photo to get money from Samantha's parents. While she had already died by this time, Keys ensured to show her alive in the photo. He sewed her eyelids open with fishing line, braided her hair, and applied makeup to her face. Keys then propped the body against the wall and took the picture. He called the photo proof of life, indicating that the victim wasn't harmed by him. Keys was arrested in 2012 by the FBI. In his chilling interview, he explained how he chose his victims.
Bringing homes to life with the Cotswold Company. Discover our range at cotswoldco.com.
Nothing compares to an indulgent escape. Upgrade your winter and discover our hand-picked.
I have worked as a maintenance staff all my life. I have stayed awake in graveyards, roamed dark halls of storage units, and spent nights in abandoned asylums. But still, that one night at that school made me crap my pants. One of my former bosses recommended me to this all-girls boarding school on the hillside. Surrounded by deep woods and tall hills, the building was a world in itself. I watched the place every night after the end of school hours. The teachers and the students stayed in the hostel behind the school building. I unlocked the school very early in the morning, even before sunrise, and ran a quick check before the commencements of the classes. Then carried on with my cleaning work as the progressed. So it was a Monday after the weekends. The girls have just arrived at their classes. Once again, the place was under rules and regulations. I went to unlock the washroom on the 3rd floor. That was the biggest one in the school. It had 12 stalls lined up on one side with tiles of mirrors on the other. I entered and opened the stalls one by one. By the 4th or 5th stall, a reeking smell hit my nose. It was like rotten meat, and that too in its worst form. One by one, I kept opening the stalls and pushed the door. By the 10th stall, I was sure something had died in this washroom. The reeking smell was getting difficult to stand now. I covered my face with my hand and opened and pushed the 11th door. You say you locked the school and there was no one. Then how come Gretchen got locked up? I don't know. Don't you think she would say something hearing I was locking the door? Trust me, officer, she was not inside that stall when I locked it 1 month ago. All right. Well, let's see where this investigation takes us. Do not leave the premise till then. The cops left with Gretchen's body, and I sat on a bench in the ground floor corridor. Gretchen was a student here in 9th Standard. I remember her because she came into the middle of the term, but who knew she would be found dead in the school bathroom right after summer vacation? The cops came